We were sitting in that section 4 times a year. And it could have been a missile that came by our ear at 98 or 108. Yeah. Hi, everyone, and thanks for coming back to another recording of Foul Ball Safety Now Talks. I'm here with Brianna Ludwig. I'm Jordan Skop. We're in towards the end of January right now, and baseball season is coming upon us. I just want to give a little recap on how Foul Ball Safety Now started. In 2019, watching morning news, I saw something very disturbing, and I thought at the time, having some prior knowledge of close calls myself, I thought this was a time to address the matter. And I learned at the same time in 2019 that NBC News did an investigation on foul ball safety, and also ESPN came out with a 5-minute video short, but it was a news segment, which we have on our website called Exhibit A. And they actually spent some time, and I thought did a good job on demonstrating some of the issues. But 6.5 years later, and I'm still at it, and it's important. I've been working with an investigative reporter by the name of Brendan. He's been with me for 6.5 years. Brianna, who's with us today, she's been with me for more than a year. And Brendan, who's been with me, we've been interviewing people who found us, baseball players who've been part of, unfortunately, hitting balls at babies. And then we've also have the victims. Unfortunately, people have been victimized by the foul ball, getting hurt, and we've interviewed probably 20 victims and family members, including the gentleman whose wife unfortunately got hit at the Dodger game in 2018 and died a few days later. He's been great with us. He's probably been involved with 6 or 7 of our virtual press conferences experiences. And his daughter, Jana Brody, she actually wrote a book called Sit Behind the Nets, which is a powerful title for someone who unfortunately lost her mom due to getting hit by a baseball. So you guys could look for that book. And just people who may have been seriously injured and have long-term effects, like people who may, 2 people specifically who unfortunately got hit. Both these people lost one eye. We've interviewed 2 people and a couple of kids when they were kids, one person with post-neurological issues and things like that. But that's how it started, and we're here, we're optimistic, we're just trying to present this opportunity for everyone to pay attention to the issue, which is still happening in professional baseball. News of the day is we put out something, just a couple of days ago to Seattle. And during the playoffs, there was a broken bat incident on national TV. It was, Tigers versus Mariners, and it was a big playoff game, so a lot of America was watching the game together. So what happens, this baseball player breaks his bat, and that's typical in baseball. People break bats. Nobody really knew at the time that the broken bat had actually come over the net, because they showed it upon replay 5 minutes after the broken bat incident. They show the broken bat coming into the seats like a boomerang, and, that bat could pierce your heart. And if anyone's ever seen that Mayhem guy on Allstate, they constantly show this commercial of him standing in a park and he swings the bat. The bat goes over the fence and right into the window where there's a woman in the car and shatters it. So obviously, a broken bat, a barrel of a bat could do serious damage. It could pierce your heart. And you even heard the announcer saying, "Yikes, look out." It was almost like they were including the broken bat in the ambiance of all the excitement. And nobody on social media said anything about it. I was really surprised that we didn't see anyone say something like, "Hey, did anyone see what I just saw?" Because somebody in that section might have been seriously injured, and we don't even know. Even if nobody was injured and it just hit something and didn't hit the person, it's a close call. I could also cite something that happened on June 22nd at Yankee Stadium. It was Yankees versus Orioles. Same thing. A player for the Orioles throws his bat and it goes over the net by the dugout. And if it wasn't for a really hot day in June, some of those corporate seats at Yankee Stadium would have been occupied, but they were empty. You could see the bat actually go over the net and into the seat. And if people want to see that, they should just go Yankees versus Orioles June 22nd, go to the 8-minute marker. It's a 15-minute 12, 15-minute 13-second video. You go to the 8-minute marker and let it go for 20 seconds, and you'll see this incident. And there's probably more. And why is this business as usual allowing broken bats or bats to make its way over the nets? Just make them higher. But we want solutions. There's been signs of improvements throughout professional baseball, but we want solutions because we're still aware of children being seriously injured. I'm aware of 2 children who were in critical condition in the summer of '23, where supposedly upgrades were announced prior, and maybe they weren't set in motion yet. Intentions for upgrades were announced in December of '22, and Major League Baseball gave these affiliates till 2025 to take care of it. Would if they did it in 4 days rather than 2.5 years, would that have prevented these 2 kids that were critically injured in 2023? It's a good question we should ask. So, again, we want everyone to follow the news at Foul Ball Safety Now Talks, and I'm excited to bring on our guest. And again, we just want to present news as we find it and maintain a presence in this space. Brianna, how are you today?
Doing great, Jordan. Happy to be here. This is such an important issue, and I'm glad that we can talk about it and shed some light on it today. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest. He is a TV personality, author, and philanthropist, June Archer. Welcome, June.
Rihanna, thank you so much. Jordan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm super excited to jump into some conversation. And hopefully, we may not have all the solutions, but I hope we put our best foot forward to see some loose solutions come forward.
We appreciate that. You're definitely speaking to a baseball fan over here, so we're excited that you can bring thoughtful questions and take the conversation where you think it needs to go for a while, and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely. You know what is very exciting, Jordan? When people I meet at bars and they're watching baseball or football, especially baseball season, they ask me, So who you rooting for? Who's your favorite
Right.
team?" I say Yankees and Red Sox. And Jordan, the bar just gets super quiet. Now, let me tell you why that is. I tell
Okay.
them, they argue to me, you can't be that, June. There's no way Yankees and Red Sox. I say,
Right.
well, let me take you back to when I was 12 years old. My mother's boss, the dentist, Dr. Kotler, takes me to my first ever professional baseball game. First professional game, period. Tells me to bring my baseball glove, and we go to world-renowned Fenway Park. Nothing like it. Yankees versus Red Sox. I can't tell you who won or who lost, Jordan and Brianna.
Huh?
It was an amazing experience. Luckily, I did bring my glove. I did catch a foul ball,
Wow.
right? And so when I tell people that story, I said, so tell your child who is preteen at his first ever or her first ever professional game that they have to choose which team is their favorite, see what happens. And of course, I get the unanimous, okay, I understand.
That's a unique story. So you're loyal to both teams? And
I'm
and
loyal.
what do you do when they play each other, like in big games?
It takes me right back to that moment, Jordan. It
Huh.
takes me right back to that moment in Fenway Park,
Wow.
that I can enjoy it. I am a New
Uh-huh.
Englander. So I am
Right.
New England sports. I am Red Sox,
Right.
Patriots, Bruins, Celtics,
Right.
but I do love New York sports. But one of the things that resonates with me with this topic is just the safety of young people who this is America's pastime. And if we're not keeping young people or people, just baseball lovers, period, safe, then what are we really doing?
Yeah, the unknown factors remain, and until the unknown factors are displayed, then we're still in the dark, and we're not really knowing what we're facing when we go to the game and the game experience. Just talking to student athletes and, even professional athletes on platforms like Indeed currently have a post going, and, these student athletes and these professional guys, they have a lot to say about the issue, and they really haven't opened up about their own role in this. Brendan and I have interviewed more than 30 professional guys, mostly retired, but a lot of them were anxious to go back and talk about their experiences from years past. In a way, they're getting the monkey off their back because they're conflicted even years later because they may have told their own parents to sit in certain sections, but at the same time, maybe they didn't step up as a group sooner. They're still, like, thinking about it. Even today, they are thinking about it. So, yeah, there's a lot there, and we just wanna hear what everyone has to say about the matter.
Now, I do have a thought here. I don't know. I know you have the Players Association. Is there
Right.
any way the Players Association can present this to the league? Because this attendance is connected to getting a check, and if attendance starts to fall off, what happens then if we're not taking the responsibility as the players and the Players Association or union to make sure that things are in place? Have you had the opportunity to speak to anyone from the Players Association?
I spoke with an attorney from a few years back. One of my attorneys introduced me to somebody who was actually part of those negotiations because supposedly, June, 3 or 4 times in collective bargaining, this issue had come up. But I don't think the players union stood their ground and negotiated hard enough because ultimately they're the ones that are going to work and hitting the ball. They should have said something all along, and I think history will show once people learn about exactly how business has been done all these years, people are gonna just be as harsh on the baseball players union as they may be on MLB. So I can't really give them a pass because I don't really know what is there to negotiate. You say something to a bricklayers union that their rank and file is going to work with tainted cement. I don't think the bricklayers union will feel right letting the rank and file lay bricks with tainted cement if they're going to rain down every few months. Who wants that on their head? So I don't have that many more examples, but I've used that one before. I would love to see the minutes, June, within those collective bargaining agreements so we can know exactly what MLB and the union spoke about regarding netting. But at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
I could take you
Absolutely.
through the Manford minutes, and we still fall short. That 5-minute Exhibit A video from ESPN from 2019 is going on in 30 to 40 cities as we speak, or at least at the end of the 2025 season, there were at least 30 to 40 professional cities. This isn't all the MLB teams, this is the affiliates and the MLB partner leagues. At this stage of the game, it's mostly the MLB partner leagues that don't have the netting past the end of the dugout. But at the same time, whether they're affiliates of MLB or whether the MLB partner leagues, there's still guys hitting balls at 100. And if anyone sees that horrific video from 2019, you'd be like, why are there still 30 to 40 cities operating in the same exact way, where that is obvious to the eye that no human being should be subjected to those line drives? We just want to keep on presenting what we're learning. I'm telling you, June, if I had Brendan or Brianna for more hours a week, we'd be finding out a lot more and we'd be able to follow up a lot faster with our investigations. But it's all very interesting. Maybe
No,
one of our listeners who are, or one of our guests who we've had on in the last few months will get excited and turn their profession onto what we're discussing. Or there'll be some other influential agency that gets wind of what we're doing, and maybe they'll say something like, hey, we should have heard about this 40 years ago. And I'll be like, yeah, you should have. Maybe you would have stepped in sooner. But we'll
absolutely.
certainly present our information as we keep on producing it to anyone who's interested.
So we
Yeah.
know that the CBA is about dollars and cents. So when we're
Yeah.
sitting down at these tables, great if we had the minutes, but when it comes down to dollars and cents, wouldn't it make perfect sense to address this as it relates to any litigious things that may come after? Like how much money has MLB? I don't know if they've shown this. This is public knowledge information.
Right.
They've actually paid out for injury based on this very subject. Do we know?
Well, we know of some high profile cases that have been made into settlements. The most recent case we know about is very disturbing. It was a little boy who was struck by a bat, and MLB put this family through 6 or 7 years worth of aggravation where they probably could have just said, we're sorry, and we're going to give you every extra therapist there is. Instead, Brianna, what do they call it again? Brain something? What is
Time
it?
is brain.
Time is brain. But if time is brain, basically, if a child gets struck by a bat on day one. You don't wait till 6.5 years later before you start providing the needed protocols. You do it from day one. Why is this professional club worth billions of dollars putting this team, this child, through the ringer, thinking like it wasn't the bat for the reason why the kid is nonverbal? I mean, I think there's even some video, maybe not. Either way, I had gone to the trial, June, and it looked like Watergate, man. There were like 10 attorneys on one side, 10 attorneys on another side, and me in the courtroom. All right. And then there was a mistrial, which was a technicality. They were going to delay the trial for 3 months, not too long ago. This is all in 2025. And then we learned before the trial was going to resume or start up again, we learned of the settlement. And it's really disgusting. And people are going to learn about this case and about this baby. And we're going to reveal what we can about what was spoken within the proceedings. That's going to raise the antenna of everyone. And everyone's going to be like, why the heck did baseball put this family through the ringer and just provide them a million therapists like it was one of their kids? And why did they make it like hell? And make this family go through genetic testing, or at least suggest, oh, the reason why the baby is nonverbal is because the parents' genetics. Really? I mean, all kinds of things which we'll be able to put out, and people will hear exactly what MLB lawyers said within these proceedings. Whatever Brendan and I and my lawyer say we can put in our report, we will. So it's very exciting. America doesn't know about a lot of things. We do know that there's a settlement. We do believe that this 6 or 7-year-old child is going to get basic education and basic therapy. But is he going to get the therapists, the all-star therapists all over the world? Come on, let's be real. And we're going to find out just as much as we can about that case. There was another case, Erwin Goldblum, who has been attending our 6 or 7 virtual press conferences, and Jana, who I mentioned in the beginning, they may be able to discuss what they hope for the future in netting, which Erwin and Jana did come to the virtual experiences, but they're not allowed to talk whether they got $1 or whether they got $1,000,000 from the Dodgers. So we don't know, Jim. But we can give you a few more incidences, but once people know the inner workings of MLB, we'll put it up on the wall. Let them decide. We just want to tell you what we can tell you. And that's what we'll
Right.
do. That's what we'll
And
continue to do. If we had more Brendans and Briannas, we'd be telling you more sooner rather than later.
abs absolutely. I wanna dive a little to the left a little bit.
Of course.
When you're talking about, we just witnessed something on the NFL side 2 years ago. There was a player who had cardiac arrest. I believe it's not mandated to have EMS at these stadiums, but
Mhm.
for whatever reason, the good Lord found that they just happened to be on scene, was
Right.
able to get to him in time. Is there anything like that in place for MLB for the crowd, the patrons? Like,
Right. Right.
we know that there's services for the players, whether it's heat exhaustion, whether it's pulled hamstring,
Sure.
what is in place for the patron that comes to have this experience in the event that someone
Sure.
gets hit by a fly ball, home
Yeah,
run.
yeah, yeah.
At
Foul ball.
yeah,
Yep, or a slip and fall even at the game. Well, I'll tell you what we know. We know that the NBC investigation from 2019, about the time I got started, we thought it was pretty interesting that 4 of the 30 first aid teams complied to the NBC inquiry. They wanted to know how many injuries they reported over 8 years from 2012 to 2019. 4 of the 30 first aid teams responded, but all of those 30 teams, from my knowledge, are independent teams. So the Dodgers and the Yankees will hire a team of maybe 4 or 8 or 12 people to come in for a 3-hour period if there's a slip and fall or if somebody gets hit by a ball or a bat. They're there to deal. We heard in this case with this child that the first aid people who saw this it was an infant at the time, saw the baby, was sort of they didn't really know their, elbow from their whatever. But that was in the court records, things like that. You would hope that they're competent, but yeah, there's supposed to be a first aid team there. Maybe there's a doctor for the teams if somebody is having heart cardiac arrest and they can jump into the stands. I'm not really sure, but there's supposed to be a first aid team in place at all these professional places, just in case something happens. And whether somebody is there to potentially save your life or not, I've been following 199 teams, 30 MLB clubs, and 169 clubs. So 169 affiliates and partner league teams. That's 199 teams. So I don't know what the other 100, I don't know if the 169 teams have, a teenager, maybe not a teenager, but then maybe they have, a couple of people who trained in first aid of some kind. I would think they all have somebody there, but and who's trained in doing some things if somebody's having some issue like the football player, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's something to dive into because we're talking not even just that. What about heat exhaustion? There are times where if you're
Sure.
playing out west and it's warmer out there, or even in the summer at Yankee Stadium gets fairly warm. How many people will have the opportunity to have that relief in a stadium full of 30, 40, 50,000? I think the CBA agreement has to encompass all of those things. So we're talking about patron safety overall.
Sure.
Jordan, I think you embarked on something. You say you've been doing this since 2019. I think this is something
Yep.
that needs to be addressed. And I don't know, can you solve this problem team by team, or do you think it's something that has to be a blanket statement issue to the league to be mandated? What do you think is the
Well,
best?
yeah, at this stage of the game, outside influence is needed, and if they could set the right model for the 30 MLB clubs on how they should be operating day to day with transparency, so we could have a baseball civilized society, so be it. I think it's time. They've had every opportunity in my mind. And the 169 ballparks, because we're not just talking about inside the ballpark, we're talking about outside the ballpark. Clearly, an outside agency or influence should be coming in and saying, "This is gonna be the model on the 169 clubs, and this is gonna be the model on the 30 clubs." And some other clubs will have further negotiations like Wrigley and Fenway, where the balls are flying outside over the back, or maybe in San Francisco. Maybe, there'll be some sort of more protocols for those type of places. But with the 169 places, the other professional teams, like in Modesto, California, people can check out the tab Unknown Modesto, where the woman was outside the ballpark. It happened to me in Brooklyn as well, June, when 20 years ago, we're standing outside, a group of people young and old, and a ball just flies out over the side and hits this young person we were with right in the forearm. And it happened in Modesto, California, where the woman was just standing outside the ballpark waiting to go in. And during batting practice, the ball comes out and unfortunately hit her in the head. And the only reason why we found out about this, June, was because the attorney found us in the spring of 2025 and said, "Hey, Jordan, can you help us prepare for trial?" Nobody. We wrote 3 letters to the Modesto newspaper, shouldn't people in Modesto since July of '23 or the spring of '23 been walking around that area with some kind of umbrella, because it's probably 10 or 15 balls within a 3-hour period that are raining outside, hitting pavement, windows, or in this case, hitting people in the head. I guess it's still happening in Brooklyn, and that's one of the 169 ballparks. One of these younger athletes who found me recently on Indeed, he's been giving me some information. He's like, "Oh, yeah, these are some of the other ballparks you need to look into." He did mention Brooklyn. So I will further explore to see if anything has changed from my experience 20 years ago or his recent experience of playing in Brooklyn and Coney Island. Why would 10 or 15 balls be allowed to rain out randomly? What about the little old lady walking to the supermarket on game day or college game day and she don't know there's a game going on inside? What's that all about? I don't want people to be worried about how they're gonna get their bills paid for. I don't want them to be hit to begin with. And
Right.
even and business as usual is allowing them to get hit, and they're not gonna be covered because of the baseball rule. So, baseball rule, you can't be walking outside the area. You should have known better. That's what they'll tell you. That's what their lawyers would tell you. because the woman in Modesto, they put her through the ringer for at least 2 years, and they made a settlement with her. Were the people in Modesto notified? People can see on my website, I wrote 3 letters to the Modesto newspaper. The tab is called Unknown Modesto. When baseball season resumes next year in Modesto, I think they moved to San Bernardino, but I think there's another team coming in. But it'll be the same ballpark and the same setup. And that could be all the 169 ballparks. That could be like in Queens College with the student athlete who contacted me. This compromised baseball safety all over the place. It's time to address the unknowns, whether it's professional. Now I'm learning about college. And who knows how many campuses have these compromised safety situations? So be it. If the part of the future is actually playing the baseball with integrity, I'm all for it. But everyone in America thinks baseball's wholesome and integrity, June. But unfortunately, I know too much. I would love to tell you that one day we may be able to incorporate the word integrity into baseball. But it's never been, because you guys don't know what we do. So that's really what it is. We invite everyone in on this conversation.
Yeah, and for those who are listening, Jordan,
Yes.
I wanna, as the young people say, let's make it make sense, as
Okay.
best we can. You got approximately 162 games, 30 teams.
Yeah.
What is the percentage of let's not take it one by one, but what is the
Sure.
percentage of injury during that 162 game season? Whether it's a broken bat, foul ball, home run, ball over the park, that infamous Derek Jeter jumping into the stands to catch a fly ball and someone catches the elbow. Like out of the
Right.
162 games, what's the percentage of injury that people will see? For those who are listening who may not
Sure.
know or get a sense of how serious this is.
It's definitely less than 1%. I wanna say that right off the bat. But once people see Exhibit A1, this is a report published by something called 538. That's the name of the publication. They actually
Okay.
came out with their report in 2019, and they averaged 53 foul balls per game. They demonstrated where the hot zones were and how often those balls went into those sections. It was very interesting because baseball's been tracking everything for sure for like a decade or two. Exit velocities, launch angles. You almost could trace your steps by looking at that report. It's on the website called Exhibit A1. And once people realize how many foul balls there are per game, we're talking there's about 2,400 major league games plus. I'll give you, that's what you were asking me. But there's also 5 times as many more games in those other professional leagues, 14,000. So Brendan and I said, Brendan, let's not go by the number of 53, which they said was part of a 9 inning game, average foul balls per game. These 169 places, let's just use the number 25, which is even less than half. So when you multiply 14,000 by 25, you're talking about 350,000 foul balls a year throughout professional baseball, excluding MLB, where we know balls are going over sides. That's not even including batting practice. So who knows how many more balls are flying outside, like in Modesto, California, or Brooklyn, New York. Who knows? But 25 times 14,000, last I checked, June, is 350,000 foul balls. Why is business as usual allowing near misses all the time? Because you're going to figure out if 20% or 40% of the balls are going in those hot zones just past end of dugouts. You're going to now want to know, were they little pop-ups that came up to that section, or is it a 100-mile-an-hour line drives like that 5-minute video that ESPN produced? I'll say, well, it's probably a little bit of both. I think from that moment on, June, parents are gonna flip out and say, "Wait, we were sitting in that section 4 times a year over the last 10 years with our kids? Mhm. And it could have been a missile that came by our ear at 98 or 108? Mhm, yeah. What? So you can almost retrace your steps because I think most families would like to know what they may have missed, and if they realize that if a seat broke the day before or somebody got blinded the day after, I think they wanna know if they were in that group. And I think they would be like, "That could have been us, because something's gonna bust, whether it's
Right.
the beverage or the chair or the baby. Terrible." So we want everyone to see. We are attempting to put the writing on the wall, June. We're making our case in the court of public opinion, as I put it, and let the people decide for themselves. We
I,
feel this is worthy of our time.
absolutely. And I want to ask you this,
Of course.
Jordan. If you say
Yes,
it's less than 1%,
it
then that
is.
makes the case that if it's less than 1%, why can't we close that gap? I
I
think
don't know
it's
why. Yeah, there's going to be unfortunate souls every year. Brianna's finding self-reported injuries in 2025 on the major league level, where the supposed upgrades have supposedly already come. What is that? We know of a man who was blinded in 2023 at a Pirates game. Brianna also, I think, found somebody else who was blinded like 2 weeks before
Yeah.
or after.
Yeah, 15 days apart.
15 days apart for same stadium.
15 no,
No,
different games, different games. One was an Angels game, one was what was the other one? Jordan,
it
was it
was Pirates. It was in
Pirates?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 15 days apart, but there's actually been a study published in a peer-reviewed medical journal that suggests every 2 to 3 MLB games warrants an injury by a foul ball that's bad enough that the person has to seek acute medical care. So, I mean, the reason the percentage is so small is because it's one person out of 30,000 who are maybe attending the game that day. So it makes for a smaller percentage. But if you think about it, in peak season, there can be 15 games played per day. So that would result in maybe 7 people being injured or being struck per day.
Right.
So, but regardless of the numbers, people have been seriously injured, blinded, died, and injured to the point where their life is not the same. They can't work anymore. And a brain injury it has lasting impact. It's not just one and done. You recover after, a month or a week. A lot of times these symptoms can last for the rest of the person's life. So it's to be taken very seriously.
Yeah, I think when we talk about integrity, Brianna and Jordan, Jordan, you make a strong case that you want integrity to be back in the game, but we've seen
I don't know
where
if it's ever been in the game. That's where I'm going, because it's been the illusion of wholesome and lovely and and apple pie, and I was all for it. I still am a fan of the game, but I don't know how you can, constantly leave families behind and feel like your game is wholesome and apple pie when you're constantly disrupting lives and not putting us all on the level playing field that we all need to be on, where all of this information could be presented at the kitchen table. And if it had been presented at the kitchen table, members of the kitchen table are family members, but they're also working for certain agencies. And they would be like, well, we're baseball people, but now I have a role to bring this to my agency. We feel like this has been unregulated for far too long, and nobody in places that could make a difference and set standards has come aboard. And we certainly are looking for that one model ballpark, whether it's part of the MLB 30 or whether it's their affiliates and the partner leagues, the 169, to set the standard. And finally, you can tell Brianna, hey, Brianna, you can come with your little guy. This is exactly where you park the car. No worries. No balls will be raining on your head during those 3 hours. This is how you enter the ballpark, and this is where you sit, and this is how you leave. How about that? Is that so hard, June? I just
no,
said it. Can we make it happen? It can't happen right now. Can't. It's the unknown factors. Management and lawyers and data, which they possess, they know exactly what the realities are, and they're not presenting it to us. Nobody's made them. Shame. That's all.
but
That's all I have to
if
say.
we can ridicule
Yeah.
those who come to the game who interrupt a ball game because they caught a foul ball or potential foul ball that one of the outfielders are catching and ruin their lives by saying you can no longer attend the game. I think we can really put our foot down on this particular issue.
Well, I'm excited, June. We're going to be able to connect beyond this call, and we're certainly going to keep on making noise. I need more people like Brendan and Brianna to put the writing on the wall and let everyone see this history is available right here, right now. Please take a look. How do you feel about the people that have been left to think about what do they do now? How can they still stay as a baseball fan? There's one story which is very touching. A little girl, a pediatrician who I had spoken with a while back, introduced me to a family, and this woman was around 30, a mother of 2. She was struck at an MLB game by a ball. She was unconscious for 4 or 5 days. She still has physical, psychological issues. She shared with Brendan and I on the interview. Brendan and I have interviewed more than 30 people, 80 people. We've interviewed more than 30 baseball players, 20 victims and family members. She was one of those people in that group of 80 that we interviewed. She tells us she recovered to some extent, and then they started going back to the games with free tickets from the team because that's what the team wanted to do. They wanted to get the family back, but she may be going through something as a woman now, gift remorse. She's, I think, upset with her parents for taking the tickets and continuing as, good times as usual when she has lingering effects probably as a teenager and certainly now since she was unconscious by a bull for 4 or 5 days. And, that's the tactics that the team do. They'll give you free tickets, come anytime. I'm not gonna mention the team right now, but that's all on record. Her story is going to be known. 80 people have agreed to be interviewed by Brendan and I, and their quotes will be in our book or book series or our reports. We'll let everyone know about what we have, and these discussions are a great way to address what's happening right now. And we'll get to reflections and books later. Let's put out the let's stop the bleeding and get people aware of what's really happening, and they can decide for themselves. Then everyone's on a level playing field.
I agree, and I agree. Jordan, Brianna, thank you
Yes.
so much for having me on
Terrific.
Foul Ball Safety Now. This has been eye-opening. I'm invigorated to do the work and ask. I'm a big fan of Connecticut. We have the Yard Goats out there, which I've
Uh-huh.
fallen in love with my home team, and I know in the management, I know some people there that are in places of power. I'm gonna ask them
Terrific.
and see
Terrific.
how I can do what I can where I can. So thank you
Ter
so much for uh,
terrific.
entertaining this conversation and educating me as well.
Well, we really appreciate having you on, and we're looking forward to hearing more from you later on.
June. So, as someone who has had such a long media career and a deep understanding of the power of media, why do you think stories like this or movements like this struggle to break through?
Brianna, that's an easy answer. The reason I believe, and I'm coming from an I statement, some may not agree. It all comes down to dollars and cents. When you have those who are in power, who are making money, you don't ever want business to stop. The game can't stop just because, right? And when you look at some of the negatives that happen in all of sports, whether it's Colin Kaepernick, whether it's Pete Rose, we can name them and continue to name them. It can't stop the game, right? Because these people who own these teams that have made money to erect these amazing stadiums, the money can't stop, Brianna. So it's hard for media to share the truth and share details when you have people in position to say, "Hey, yeah, let's not post that. Let's not talk about that. Let's not advertise that. We're going to take care of on our end because once again, the game can't stop." I think it just comes down to dollars and cents, in my opinion.
A lot there. A lot there, June. Terrific conversation. Really appreciate having you on today, and we look forward to continuing our connection, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Foul Ball Safety Now Talks. We will definitely be doing this again soon.